What does the phrase civic duty mean to you? Maybe you think about serving on a jury, or maybe you think about casting a vote, or maybe even signing up for the Navy. But what if I told you that there is a fantastic engagement for you to be able to be civically involved right in your own backyard? I implore you to join your neighborhood association so you can create the kinds of changes that your neighborhood needs. Today I'm going to talk to you about who can join a neighborhood association, how joining a neighborhood association can improve your daily life, and how neighborhood associations as a group can become agents of change or inhibitors of change depending on how they act. And how they act is dependent on whether you decide to join or not. I can tell you I know this from experience because I am a president of a neighborhood association. And I was really skeptical at first because I thought that neighborhood associations were just for homeowners, and I don't own my home. But under the City of Albuquerque's Neighborhood Association Recognition Ordinance, which was most recently updated in 2022, anyone who calls a geographic area home can join their neighborhood association. In fact, requiring dues for neighborhood association members is prohibited under the most recent update of that law. So if you feel like an area, if you call it home, whether you rent or you own or you're staying with family or friends, if that's home for you, you are eligible to join your city's neighborhood association. And I really hope you do, because Robert Wellinger, who has done one of the largest studies, he's one of the researchers who's taken over a large study that's been enacted in Harvard since 1938, looking at health outcomes over a long period of time. He told journalist Liz Mineo in the Harvard Gazette that the surprising finding that he has made in his research so far is that our relationships have such a powerful influence on our health. Yes, taking care of our body is important, but tending to your relationships is a form of self-care too. And so what better way to tend to your relationships than to find the local babysitters or people to give you an egg when you're in the middle of cooking, or whatever a neighbor can help you with. And a great way to figure out where your neighbors are and how to meet them is to show up at your neighborhood association meeting. And I encourage people, especially who might be watching this video, who are renters, to join their neighborhood association, because some of the benefits of social benefits of joining a neighborhood association are actually felt greater by renters than actual homeowners. And this was found by Roof and Kahn in a journal article entitled Neighborhood Associations and Social Capital. This was published in 2016 in the journal article, published in the journal Social Forces. And they found that if it came to things like helping with racial justice or helping with improving the actual outcomes of a community and building deep social connections, people who rented were more likely to find a benefit in their neighborhood association. But I think everyone should join anyways. And I think it's really important because a neighborhood association is an opportunity for everybody to come together and make some changes on a local level to their conditions. In Victory Hills, we're right now working on a pocket park, which this is abandoned area of land that we have decided should be a pocket park. And so we are working on getting funding right now, and we just did a neighborhood cleanup, and I've been getting to know the people who live right around that area, and we've been bringing in more people to our neighborhood association because that's the kind of change that's really powerful. But it also can have a lot of power when it comes to having a unified voice. So when there are changes to our bus network, or when there are changes to our neighborhood zoning code and things like that, we can come together and write letters as a unified body to our city councilor, to the mayor, to our other elected officials, so we can kind of share, rather than just being one individual or two individuals, we can come together as a body of many individuals and make a definitive statement about what that means in our neighborhood association. And so one way that this has happened recently in Albuquerque, as recently as March 17th, is that the zoning hearing examiner found in a recent zoning hearing to try to get a Maverick gas station built at that iconic giant red arrow on Carlisle. There are already several gas stations right there, and Maverick, a multinational corporation, wanted to build another gas station right there. And 4 different neighborhood associations were able to come together and file an appeal to the zoning, to file their information with the zoning hearing officer to let them know that they were not happy about this and that this was not a good land use of that land. And they found out that they actually won, and the neighborhood associations themselves were cited in that decision. So now, instead of being a gas station, or let's be honest, in this economy, an abandoned gas station in a few years, it has the opportunity to be something like housing, or something like a neighborhood association or neighborhood grocery store or a pharmacy. Who knows who's going to buy that property? But Maverick decided not to appeal, so it's not going to be a gas station this time around. Now, I do want to reiterate one of my points that I made. I said everyone can join their neighborhood association, but if you don't join your neighborhood association, someone else is going to speak up for you. This is especially prevalent in the book Neighborhood Defenders by Einstein, Glick, and Palmer. They talk about how people have weaponized these kinds of civic engagement structures to say, not in my backyard, not to gas stations, but to public housing or other opportunities that help people who are in poverty. So the same environmental tools that these neighborhood associations that I applaud were doing, sometimes a neighborhood association might stop people from having the zoning changes that will actually make building more housing possible, or maybe a tiendita, or maybe, other community assets. And so that's why it is really important that you join your neighborhood association, because if you hear them talking about how they want to make it harder to build housing, or if they want to resist a project, you get an opportunity to say, I don't think that's right. I think we do better when we have more neighbors. I think I'm safer when there's more eyes on the street. And we are facing a catastrophic housing shortage right now. So if you really care about this, you want to start attending those meetings. This is also illustrated in the book Stuck by Yoni Applebaum. He tells this really great story in that book where he goes to a public meeting about a big housing development that they want to build in Tacoma Park, which is a neighborhood in DC, very wealthy. And someone at that meeting brings up that the people who want to live in that apartment building don't get official notification and don't get invited to come make comment at this meeting that really could have a gigantic impact on their lives. And while we don't have the mechanisms right now to put out the big net of who might live in this future development, people who live closest can decide to have solidarity with their future neighbors and say, yes, you are welcome to be in my backyard. We need more housing, because if you want more friends, neighbors, and babysitters and anyone else who can help you, you need to make sure that your neighborhood association itself is not expressing overreach to try to, on your behalf, because you live in that geographic boundary. You want to make sure what they're doing is actually speaking to your own values. Because if neighborhood associations members are not representing a financial interest, such as their home value, then they won't make it possible for the other neighborhood association members to co-opt their needs for the sake of extracting wealth from the community. If you want to learn more about neighborhood associations, I encourage you to go to cabq.gov/neighborhoods. There you can find where your recognized neighborhood association is and whether you have one. And if you don't have one, it's actually not that hard to start your own. And I encourage you to look into that, because anyone can join. Being a vehicle of building power together for good, or preventing other people from using it for harm, is your power as an American citizen. And civic duty isn't just about voting. It's also about creating community and a neighborhood association. Where better to find people to be friends with and create community with than in your own backyard. Thank you.